What's up, everybody? We're back. It's Friday night, just before 7 o'clock at night. It's Terry, and Brett. Want to talk to you today about Trevor Lawrence and get COVID and the implications to Clemson's season, or basically the next two games. And then talk about a little bit more about a couple of the games. I kind of briefly touched on some of these games yesterday in the weekly, look ahead to some games, but I want to go into a little bit more detail on a couple of these games. So first things first, yesterday Trevor Lawrence gets test positive for COVID. So probably going to play. Dabo Sweeney's known to go with the best players possible. So it's probably going to go with DJ Ungalalele. I apologize for butchering the kid's name. 5-star dual threat QB from California. If I'm not mistaken, he was the number one QB dual threat in the class last year. He's a freshman, so they're probably going to roll with him. That's what I'm thinking. BC's got a pretty good defense. I don't see it really affecting the game. Just feed ETN some short passes to get the kids' confidence up. BC's going to kind of try to stack the box, and then boom, start taking the top off. Going deep to those wideouts. Don't really see the game impacting too much. I don't think Clemson's going to score as many points as they would with Trevor Lawrence. I don't see it impacting this game tomorrow that much. But per CDC guidelines, and from what I'm reading, that's what the ACC is going by.
10 days.
10 days from the start of symptoms. He tested positive yesterday. Some people are saying, well, he maybe had symptoms prior to that, so he'd be able to play next week against Notre Dame. I don't know those for facts. So what we're going to do is we're just going to assume that he woke up yesterday with symptoms and got tested, came back positive. So that Thursday to next Saturday is in that 10-day window, so he wouldn't be able to play next weekend against Notre Dame. Now, that's a game they could lose. That's a game they could lose with Trevor Lawrence on the field, just because it's college ball, weird crap happens. Nobody saw them losing to Syracuse a couple years ago, so weird stuff happens. I still don't expect them to lose to Notre Dame, but it could happen. It'll be a much tougher matchup against a better team, better athletes on the field. If Trevor Lawrence can't play, that could be a game that gives DJ some problems. They're a little bit better defensively, in my opinion, this season than they were last year, Notre Dame, but not as good offensively. So as we're just looking at the ACC conference this year, it doesn't seem that they're broken down into sides. So we were discussing two best teams in the conference and maybe some playoff implications. Is the playoff, and I really didn't want to talk about this just yet. I wanted to wait a few more weeks until the Big Ten got going a little bit more. And next week we'll be halfway through the SEC and Big 12 seasons. But the playoff committee has shown they go either way. Best team, most deserving. So let's say Notre Dame wins next week against Clemson. Trevor Lawrence isn't on the field. They go undefeated, and they're playing in the conference championship game. Are they putting a one-loss Clemson in there against them, or is it UNC, or is it maybe Miami? We're just hypotheticals if these teams win out. But let's just say they go to the conference title game and they beat UNC. Is a undefeated conference championship game, Notre Dame a better team? I understand they're more deserving, but are they a better team than a Clemson with one loss when Trevor Lawrence wasn't even playing? Are they a better team than Clemson with Trevor Lawrence? That's what the playoff committee is going to have to look at. So that's kind of something interesting just to see how it plays out. But like I said, I don't really expect Clemson to lose next week against Notre Dame. I'm not expecting.
No, but if they manage to do it, I find it very hard for the committee to not put Notre Dame in the big show. The play. I just see it not going any other way. They want to get Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, Notre Dame's a ratings juggernaut.
Right.
We've talked about it. I don't believe they're worthy of that number 3 ranking. But we talk about this every year. How many times have you looked at talking to the people watching, how many times have you looked at the rankings over the years and been like, man, Notre Dame's way higher than they should be? Happens every single year.
If they manage to go undefeated or one loss, a lot of times they get a good bowl game, or they get in the Final Four. And I just see if they run the table, or even if they get one loss, they might end up being that fourth team.
They could, because the Big 12 is, kind of shooting itself in the foot right now.
Yeah.
So speaking of Big 12, one of the games, like I said on my video the other day, I don't count Oklahoma out for anything, but one of the big games this weekend, in my opinion, the biggest game this weekend, is Texas versus Oklahoma State. And it's the biggest game, in my opinion, for a lot of reasons. I don't think Tom Herman's going to save his job, but it's possible if he wins Saturday and runs the table. I would say maybe like 30% possible, 70% he's still getting his ass fired. Oklahoma State's undefeated. They are clearly in the front, in the driver's seat of the Big 12. They are really, at this point, unless some crazy stuff happens, they are the Big 12's only hope to get into the damn playoffs.
Right.
I'm picking Texas to win this game. Texas is fighting for some pride right now. Herman's in trouble. Ellinger's been there. Jesus, seems like Ellinger's been there since we were in like middle school. Dude's great QB. They've got so much talent on that team, and they're just underperforming. Dissent in the locker room. 5-star QB. I think it's
Decommitted.
Quinn Irvin. I forget his last name. He decommitted Wednesday night. Yesterday, their 4-star wideout for 2022 decommitted. And from what I'm reading on 24/7 Sports, those two aren't the only two that are probably going to end up decommitting. They lost two, I believe they were twin offensive linemen, a 5-star and a 4-star offensive lineman. Brockenmeyer guys from Fort Worth that were Texas. I think their dad played at Texas.
Okay.
They were going to go to Texas. And
their
then,
legacies and everything.
yeah, and all this crap with Texas happened. Now they're going to play at Alabama, for Christ's sake. It's like, thanks, Texas. Like, Alabama really needed more 5-star offensive linemen. I think Texas is going to win this game. They kind of have to. If they don't win this game, the season is off the rails. Going off the rails on a crazy train. It's off the rails. We don't know how many they're going to end up losing.
Yeah.
If they win this game, they can kind of right the ship. They've got 2 losses in conference. Oklahoma's got 2 losses in conference. Yes, Oklahoma owns the head-to-head matchup, but they could end up having a pretty successful season if they win and win out.
Just run the table.
Just run the table.
Run the table, save your job, Tom. Please, I don't want to see you at Auburn next year.
Yeah, easier said than done. We don't want to see him in Auburn. Easier said than done, but I think they're going to win. Yeah. So that's the game, in my opinion, of the weekend. 4:00 kickoff. And the next best game of the weekend is a night game, 7:30. Ohio State traveling to Happy Valley, play Penn State. I mentioned this yesterday in my video. That normally would be the whiteout, fans going nuts in the stands, awesome atmosphere.
And one of the games I want to go to.
Yeah, and they're waving the towels. I watched that a few years ago. It looked ridiculous out there.
Yes.
And that crowd helped Penn State win that game. No crowd Saturday.
Yeah.
Penn State, and I talked about that on video because this one dude on Twitter was blowing up this one, this writer's timeline, and that Penn State had the best running back room in the country. Well, Noah Cain's out, and they're down to like their 3rd and 4th string running back. So even if everyone was healthy, I still don't think that's true. But, definitely not true. They're down to their 3rd and 4th string running back. Michael Parsons not playing. Their quarterback didn't look good. Their offense didn't look good last week against Indiana. Defense is pretty good. They've got a good defensive line. They've got good DBs. They've got really good edge rushers. Ohio State didn't run the ball that great last week. Nebraska's defense played pretty good that first half. Trevor Lawrence is the difference maker. Whenever there's 2 teams like this that go, that it's not going to go either way. I don't think it's that close, but when you have 2 pretty good teams, I'm always like, who's got the better QB? Right. Justin Fields. I know that's talked about Justin Fields last week, and some Georgia fans got really upset. Maybe some Ohio State fans got upset too. I don't really know. I think it was mainly Georgia fans, crying in the comments. Got real sensitive about things. I don't really mean to upset anybody, but they got upset. I guess it happens when you don't win a national championship in 40 years. So sorry if I upset people, but that's just my opinion on that matter.
We're just here speaking the truth.
It's just my opinion on Georgia and Justin Fields. But as far as this game Saturday goes, really think Ohio State will be in control from start to finish. It might be a little close for a while, and they'll kind of pull away. But if Penn State just had a little bit better quarterback play, I'd feel a little more confident of them hanging in there, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think I mentioned it the other day. I looked at it, was like Alabama, Tennessee. I don't really think about it that far of a gap.
Yeah.
It's a little bit closer of a gap, but it's still like no one's hanging with Ohio State for 4 quarters, in my opinion, in conference. So right here, noon game, great noon game. Mel Tucker, Michigan. You know, you said it. Why don't you talk about Mel Tucker?
Yeah, well, Mel Tucker, a former defensive coordinator for Georgia, went to Colorado, thought he was going to do something special there, got the opportunity at Michigan State. I mean, I think he can do something very special, but, you got Michigan, you got Ohio State, you got to be able to compete. And I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I had high hopes for Tom Herman in Texas, but didn't quite work out. I don't know.
I like Mel Tucker. I was really disappointed in the performance from last week. They looked really bad. They looked bad on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. Michigan, I don't think they're an elite team, but this number 13 ranking right now seems accurate to where I think they are. I mentioned they had some smaller wideouts this year, and the running back core looked pretty good. Mill looked really good at quarterback. I was extremely surprised at that. Defense looked pretty good too against Minnesota, especially the defensive line. And there was a linebacker, I forgot his name, but he had dreadlocks, and that dude was like all over the field last Saturday night. So I think this is an easy win for Michigan, and maybe I'm hoping, because as we discussed, college football is a lot more fun with Texas, Michigan, and Miami all on their A game. It's just a much more fun sport to follow. So hopefully, they're only playing 8 games. It's like you've really got, Michigan got fast start right out the gate. Keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Just keep getting better and better, and you never know, that game with Ohio State might end up being a pretty darn good game. So
We got a lot to look for this season. Hopefully, we can continue playing, stop missing some of these games, keeping the athletes on the field. We're halfway through the SEC schedule after this week. Big Ten is just getting started. Pac-10 gets started, and Pac-12 gets started next week, I believe.
yes, I think so.
So
Either that or in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So season's not necessarily wrapping up.
Yeah.
It's really just getting started.
Exactly.
Anything can happen.
We got Maction coming up. They're starting the first 3 weeks of the season. They're going to be on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then they're going to play their final 3 games of the season on Saturdays. Only playing 6 games.
Right.
And that last game, I believe, is on the same, I think it's on December 12th. So they'll start in November and they'll go to December 12th. As you mentioned, keeping guys on the field, just want to say another thing about Trevor Lawrence. I expect them to test that dude every single day.
Right.
Maybe it could be a Nick Saban kind of false positive deal. You never know.
Well, we do know that he's been having mild symptoms, so that would lead me to believe he does have it.
Exactly, but I'm still testing him every day.
Right. If I get like 5 days in a row where he's tested negative, he's playing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically all we're going to talk about today. Just want to talk about the Trevor Lawrence and Clemson situation and expand upon a couple of the games I just touched on yesterday. We're going to watch a lot of football tomorrow. And then we're going to be back here Sunday night. Having our weekend recap. So appreciate everybody tuning in, and I appreciate all the comments, even the people that hate me, call me bruh, and think that we're the dumbest fans in the world. But hey, start your own YouTube channel. But whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and tune in on Sunday, and we'll talk to you then.
All right.
Peace.
All right. Take it easy.